Today we have a Land Rover Defender. It's a 1994 model fitted with the 2.5 Tdi engine, and it's got roughly 82,000 miles on the clock. So as part of the service today, we're going to be doing an oil and filter change. And as with every car I do an oil and filter change on, I just like to loosen or take off the oil filler cap and pull the dipstick out a bit, just to allow air into the engine while it's draining out underneath, and hopefully that'll make that process a bit smoother. So a little bit difficult for me, this one, because just due to the nature of the vehicle and the type of ramp I've got, I struggle to take these kind of vehicles up in the air. So we've only got it up a few feet off the ground. I'm going to drain the oil. Here's the sump. There's your sump plug there, which is a 19mm. So I just want to crack that loose. Typical Land Rover, plenty of oil spread about the place underneath. As with all oil leaks, as long as you keep an eye on the oil level and monitor how fast it's losing oil. This one is, it actually looks a lot worse than it is. It goes from one service to the next, barely using any oil. There's just a lot of residue mess underneath this one. I guess it helps to stop it corroding. Right, I think that's ready to come out now. So I've got my drain tub here. I'll try not to cover myself in oil. It's quite warm, so it'll probably come out fairly fast. Right, that's getting heavy now. A bit awkward. Right, so just going to leave that to do its thing for a little while and stand up and have a bit of a stretch. Oh. Right, again, it's a little bit tricky to film and do this at the same time. But yeah, I managed to get the big slide grips on there. That's it. Now you might be able to see, but that's directly above the front axle on the differential. So what I've done is taken the oil filter box and tried to make some kind of to funnel the oil off, filter away from the axle. It doesn't hurt for it to drip on there, but it just, you know, it just creates more cleaning up to do. I'm hoping this is going to divert the oil over the axle and into the drain tub. That's the theory anyway. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Maybe something like that. Oh well, one way to find out. I think that's fairly successful. It's going to be unavoidable to get the filter out completely without spilling some everywhere though. It's quite a big filter as well. I'll just put a glove on actually. So there is going to be some mess now. Almost off the thread. Try not to drop it. That's it. Oh, that was fairly successful. I'll just leave that on there to drain for a little while. And we'll get the new filter on next. Okay, so here we have the new filter. A couple of things. Make sure the old filter has still got the seal in it, the black rubber seal, which it has, because they do only pull out, and sometimes they can get stuck on the housing up there where you're screwing the filter back on. So it's not going to make an oil tight seal if it's got the old one stuck up there and you wind the new filter on top of it. And the other thing is need to lubricate that seal. I'll just use a bit of the old engine oil. Bit of oil, bit of grease, anything like that, just to stop it from sticking and help aid removal when the service comes around again. Right, let's see if we can get this one back on. I can't really see what I'm doing from here. So you only need to do these up hand tight, you don't need to use any tools to tighten them. That's it, that's back on there. So next we'll get the sump plug back in. So I've got the sump plug or sump bung here, which is essentially just a 19mm bolt. And as you can see, it's got a copper washer on it. Now when you pick up your parts from the motor factor or the dealer, wherever you go, you might want to pick up another washer. They're generally good to go again. You just need to make sure they haven't been crushed or split. So when you do go to pick up the parts, all you need to do really is make sure you've got your registration number to hand, and then they can generally recommend what you need for your vehicle. Obviously there's quite a few different brands of filter and oil on the market. I generally don't use a main dealer, but try and go for a named brand. That filter you should be able to pick up for under £10. And the engine oil, well, that really depends on what brand you go for, and the prices are changing all the time, but 5 litres you should be able to get sort of £50 to £60. I think this is going to take more than 5 litres. I've written down what they recommended. I'll have a look and see. Okay, so that's nipped up. Next we'll drop it down and put some oil in. Right, so got my homemade funnel in there. Making sure the dipstick's still up. This time when you're pouring the oil in, you want the air to be able to escape out the engine. If you don't do that on some engines, it will glug back up out of the filler and make a bit of a mess. Some engines are generally slow fillers anyway, so you've got to go easy. So yeah, when I picked up this oil from the factors, they recommended 6.8 litres for this particular engine. I've only got 4 in the jug at the minute, so I need to go and put a bit more in there. But it's a good idea to not put the full amount in. I'm going to go for about 6.5 litres to start with, then run it up and dip it and see where it is. Sometimes the recommended amount isn't quite correct and you can end up overfilling it, and overfilling an engine can cause damage, just like having not enough oil. So I prefer to go under the recommended amount and dip it, and then you can just top up in little dribs and drabs. Whereas if you put the full amount in and discover it's too much, you're going to have to crawl underneath and mess about draining some out again. Right, that's 4. I shall go and get another 2.5 litres and go from there. That is 6.5. You can hear it draining down into the sump. Alright, pop the dipstick back in, put the cap on. Okay, so I'm going to start it up. Don't need to rev it. It's actually not a good idea to rev an engine that's just been started, and particularly if it's been drained and refilled of oil, because it can take a little while for it to pick up the oil and get to pressure. Let's wait for the glow plugs. That's it, the oil pressure light's gone out, that's a good sign. All sounds good. So we'll shut it off there. That's all it needs, just a few seconds to run, let it circulate and fill up the oil filter and all the galleries. Now we'll leave it for 3 or 4 minutes to settle and drain down, and then we'll dip it and hopefully it will be slightly under the maximum. Right, so this has stood for 4 or 5 minutes now actually. Let's give that a wipe off. So you can clearly see there the maximum notch and the minimum one. Hopefully it's somewhere in between and not over the maximum. Yeah, I'm not sure which angle you can see that at. It's a little bit tricky. So it's about there. It's pretty much halfway between the 2 marks. So all I'm going to do now is grab a bit more oil and just top it up in small dribs and drabs and keep on dipping it. I'll leave that out for now actually. that'll do. Don't need to start it up again because the oil's already circulated around the engine and filled up the filter and everything. So again, just wait a few minutes and dip it, and hopefully that will get it up nearer to the maximum mark. Right, so I've put around about another 0.2 of a litre in, I would say. So we're up to about 6.7 now. Hopefully it hasn't gone over the maximum. They recommended 6.8, so it should be okay. I'm not sure if you can see. That is right there, just a fraction below the maximum mark, which is a good place to be. You know, the longer the engine sits, obviously all the residue oil that we've tipped in will trickle down and that will come up fractionally, so I'm not going to add any more to that. As you can see there. Do not overfill full. So we'll leave it at that. Get the dipstick back in. Filler cap back on. And as with pretty much all the jobs I do, I'll give that a run around the block, bring it back in, and I'll probably just put my hand on the filter, make sure it is tight, and check for any leaks. But I'm happy with that. That's just about job done. Thanks for watching. If you find our videos helpful, please hit like and subscribe to help us out. Nice one.